You're watching The Last Word and I'm Maria Shakil. The alleged sexual assault of a second-year student on the campus of Anna University on December 23rd has sparked protests across Tamil Nadu. From AIA-DMK to the BJP to the new political entrant in the state, actor Vijay, all have expressed outrage and demanded a fair investigation, justice and stricter security for women in educational institutions. 2024, as we bid farewell to this year, has witnessed several spine-chilling and high-profile crimes, sending shockwaves across the nation and igniting widespread outrage as well as criticism. A trainee doctor was brutally raped and murdered in Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College and Hospital just a few months ago. The CBI had filed a charge sheet against the main accused for rape and murder of an on-duty doctor. In one of the most chilling murders of 2024, a 29-year-old Bengaluru woman was found chopped into around 50 pieces and stored in a fridge. Mahalakshmi's body was recovered from a single-room flat in Bengaluru's Malleshwaram on September 21st. Let's rewind a little more. August 2024, in Bengaluru, a final year degree student was sexually assaulted by an unknown biker whom she had hitchhiked. Earlier this month, two minor sisters were raped and murdered in Pune. The bodies of the young girls, who were just 8 and 9, were found inside a drum used for storing water in a room near their house. Hours later, a 54-year-old man who worked as a cook was known to the victim's family was arrested by the Pune Rural Police. So through the year, multiple such horrific incidents shamed us, and we continued to demand safer space for women, demand fast-track investigation and stricter punishment. So as we enter the new year, enter 2025, can we as a nation ensure safe spaces for the 50% of our nation? Can we as a country ensure that cases of sexual harassment and molestations go down? And that can begin only if the society changes. So on the show tonight, we look for solutions as we make a resolution for change in 2025. Joining me on the show, Apsara Reddy, spokesperson of the AIA-DMK. We have Kasturi Shankar, author and social activist. Dr. Ranjana Kumari is a women activist. We also have Tara Deshpande, actor, writer. Apsara Reddy, of course, this should not be in the realm of politics, but unfortunately this is, invariably we have seen, be it RG Kar, a horrific rape and murder, or what happened in Anna University. It has drawn political lines when it should have been ideally leaders across party lines speaking in one voices and demanding safer spaces for women and ensuring safer spaces for women.
I think when a crime like this happens, I think every sector of society reacts, whether it's politicians, whether it's cinema, whether it's social activists. So I don't think we can single out political parties for speaking their voice, because you can't say don't politicize it. Of course, we are in the game of politics and speaking up for people. So as a party, as AIDMK, it is our right, and it is only just that we speak up for it. Of course, all leaders across party lines have spoken, and we are speaking in one voice for justice for this girl. I think the way in which the police have kind of dragged their feet on this investigation is appalling. I think when a university, which is such a globally renowned university, has such flaws where people can just enter and molest a girl and threaten her a friend and also record videos. This person was also speaking to somebody influential in the government. Why haven't they tracked down the people he was in touch with? Why aren't his gadgets leading to the nexus that he's a part of? Because obviously this person is connected very influentially to the ruling government. He's been with ministers. His name has appeared in the official newspaper of the DMK party. So I really feel when we speak as AIDMK, we speak for justice. I don't think it's about politicizing it. To make India safer, I think every politician, every leader, every woman has to empower families, has to empower girls to come out and report it. Even though this girl had reported it, the FIR was leaked. So how will women come forward? Unless we put political pressure, unless we put pressure from every corner, how will women come out and report this?
Okay, that's a way of looking at it. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, as a women's rights activist who has been taking up such cases for years now, why is it that we have reached a point where these cases are only rising? And if we look at the NCRB data from January till August, there have been almost 10,000 cases of sexual assault.
Well, Maria, because nobody wants to hold anyone accountable. Political reactions are all right. I mean, there is nothing wrong in one party or the other. But drawing every time such cases in political context is risky, because when one party starts protesting against the other party, which is the ruling party of the state, then what happens is that in the largest sense of the whole country, nobody is hold responsible. Like nobody be pinpointed and says such and such party. Every state it is happening. Just look at the data, how it has increased. And also on the other side, none of these people, after this whole political action will be over, nobody is going to ask the assembly or parliament to report what action was taken after all this happened. How many people really got punished, how the courts are really dealing with these cases, why are so many cases pending, what is happening to the victim herself. So all these larger issues are not raised. Now look at the way so much protest went on in West Bengal today. How many people really are following the case, and how many people are really feeling responsible and holding how many really heads rolled because of this, except for the head of the institution? Nobody else, no police officer, nobody. They did not file an FIR in time. There was so much of tardy investigation, so much of leak of data happened. There is by and large, political protests risk the trivializing the issue. When they do it, when it is the opposition which is in power, whichever party it is. So let them protest, but also they must ensure that proper police action is taken in time. And
Yes.
secondly, also, we should not just react. What is the action taken? For example, tomorrow is going to be the New Year's Eve. Now,
Yes.
how many states are prepared in terms of many arrangements that should be made? And I would like to make some suggestions towards that, Maria.
Point well taken, ma'am. Tara, my question to you would be more specific. Women are seen as a very crucial voting constituency, because election after election, state after state, this constituency, because you have seen so many doles being announced for women, welfare schemes which are women centric, but when it comes to safety and security, there is no special effort which is made. And what Ranjana Kumari just said, that we are looking at New Year's Eve, what states are talking about, what is the situation of law and order? I mean, we are curious to know.
Well, there are a couple of issues here. One is that it's the general conditioning of this country to blame the woman for everything. No matter how erudite the people surrounding her are, there's always this doubt, it must be her fault. If she hadn't gone to a secluded place, if she hadn't worn this, if she hadn't said that, if she hadn't done this may not have happened. So she needs to change her behavior. The other thing is that ever since, Kingdom Come, nothing has ever really been designed, whether it's medical research, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's travel, transport, keeping in mind the fact that women need to be made to feel secure. We just don't plan buildings like that. We don't plan hospitals like that. And you'll find that these rapes are occurring everywhere where there is a gap or a loophole in security. So I think that's something that we certainly need to look at. But I also think that we need to look at other countries in the world where rape cases have been very high. For instance, like certain cities in South Africa, and the steps they took to mitigate this kind of sexual violence against women. I think that, women have realized one thing in this country, that the only people who are going to look after them is themselves. So maybe it's time now, like in the US and other countries, that they carry devices such as, pepper spray, such as, those special alarms that are created on keychains for women, perhaps even other more modern devices that will help to alert a crowd or will help to call in for help if they are attacked or assaulted. But besides that, one of the most important things we need to do is have panels at a local level and at a higher level that actually talk to women and ask them, what is it you need that will protect you, that will prevent such incidents from happening? You know, just having some senior police officer who's a man deciding how to make women feel secure is not enough. You need to understand what a woman's daily life is and what are all the situations and circumstances she faces and plan your infrastructure around it. I mean, you just take a look, even in a city like Mumbai, which is relatively safe for women, how many secluded, how many poorly lit streets we have, where the security camera either doesn't exist or is not working. How many long stretches you have that are not manned by policemen. The police to public ratio in India is pretty poor. So I think we need to have more specialized forces for women. But first and foremost, I think women need to start thinking about how they can take care of themselves, because no one else seems to be coming to do that.
Basically, the onus of women's safety is on the women herself. Carry a pepper
No, I'm not-
spray.
I'm
carry,
not saying it should be
try and
on them.
inform, have someone on just dial or an emergency. So, why is it that when it comes to Kasturi Shankar, that, I'll rephrase that question that I asked Tara Deshpande. Election after election, you talk about women welfare schemes, women-centric welfare schemes. Those which are given just to women, because you realize that this is an important vote bank. But when it is about safety and security, I mean, that's not anybody's priority, unfortunately. And that's the truth. It is not all right to have only women-centric, spaces like in metros, it's only women, bogies which are only for women. But what about other bogies where women just get in and then they are pushed and shoved and treated poorly?
This is not about women, Maria. This is about men. Until the men are trained and taught to behave like human beings, you can do all these women-centric bogies and only women buses. And I went to a girls-only school. And on one fine day when uh, there was a carnival in school and I was walking premises by one of the vehicle drivers. So this is not about women. This is about us as a society. But I also want to talk, I wanted to directly address something that Mrs. Ranjana had brought up about, action being taken from the powers that be, state action and the police empowering women. Ma'am, to you and to everybody watching this, I would like to say the Tamil Nadu police and the Tamil Nadu state have been very, very expedient in taking action. In the last few days, anybody who protested against the Anna University rape was promptly arrested. Anybody today, actor Vijay's party members, they didn't even protest. He let out a statement and they distributed pamphlets with a printout of his statement. They were also arrested. The victim in question followed all due process of the law in filing an FIR. That was promptly leaked. So now the message that we are sending, at least in my state, I'm so proud of it. We are sending the message that if women seek redressal, if women seek justice, we will shame them, we will victimize them, we will weaponize everybody around them to go and attack them. Now, I mean, it has taken the High Court of Madras to actually pass orders that the girl has to be empowered and ensured safety to complete her course for the next 2 years. Can you imagine a court mandate for a girl to simply finish her studies? This is where we are in Tamil Nadu. So we have no right to talk about RG Kar or Bengaluru because we ourselves, at the end of the day, I think there are two types of crimes against women. One is just regular people, some people, somewhere random acts of violence, which is a social problem. But the other is when perpetrators are complicit with seats of power. I mean, I'm seeing it in my state. We saw it in RG Kar, where people who have to actually spearhead the investigation keep dragging their feet and do everything until technically the case is thrown out, until it's no longer tenable in a court of law. What justice have the victims of Unnao gotten? What justice has Asifa gotten? This is a place where a Nirbhaya rapist gets a sewing machine and is let off into society. I mean, we really have to change from bottom to top, and all talk is fine, but at some point I think we need good leaders, because at the end of the day,
Okay.
it's the leaders that can make things happen. I'm in Hyderabad. We had KCR's regime here. There was a medical student who was gang raped. Those perpetrators were, they were encountered to death. At the end of the day, I'm sorry to talk about vigilantism, but we really need swift
Okay.
justice, and we
Apsara,
need swift action.
yeah,
That's
but the
problem.
state cannot be, or all of us who believe in the rule of law cannot be thinking about, police
I agree.
encounters
The
of
only
rape
point I'm
victims.
saying is justice has to
Anger
be swift.
aside, there has to be the rule of law which has to be followed. Apsara, but the larger question is here we are talking about spaces. Forget about public spaces, because that's the responsibility of the state to ensure safer spaces outside. Even on campus, I mean, a woman is expected to be protected on campus or in her house. That is not happening.
I think a
That's
woman
making
deserves-
matters worse.
I think a woman deserves every space. Needs to be space for a woman. I think we have as much right as men to access every space without fear. And I think it's important to have a women's task force, not just while I agree with Kasturi that we need to kind of train our men. I think it's also women who raise these men need to be, parenting has to be strong in terms of telling their men, their boys to keep their gaze respectful towards women. Not, a lot of times when you see these kind of debates and you see the kind of social media outpouring, they always blame the girl. The girl's name is always outed. The victim's family is always shamed. But these men are forgotten. These men come out in masks to court. They kind of get protected by all kinds of human rights laws. But what about the victim? Victim shaming is at its peak. So I think when we design these spaces, we also need to design support systems around these spaces, which involve men and women, the neighborhood watch, the police, better CCTV, absolutely high-tech cybersecurity. None of this is happening in our state of Tamil Nadu. I think cybersecurity is at its worst. They don't even know how to find a rapist. They have to go through his social media and just post pictures of him with Udaynidhi Stalin. What about the rest of the nexus? The person he called, referring to as sir, and he was talking to somebody saying, I'm going to send this girl home to you. So who is this sir that he was talking to? Who is the nexus that he's a part of? What has his social media behavior been? So all of this has to be kind of thoroughly looked into.
Apsara,
And I
point
think
taken. Tara
Maria?
Deshpande, in 2012, when Nirbhaya gang rape happened and we saw protests across the country, starting from Delhi, I was there covering it on the ground. We felt that this was the tipping point, almost like the tide would turn and all of a sudden the space would be safe for women. We'll be talking about women's safety as the topmost priority. After that incident, what changed? One thing changed was that it became a talking point, but it did not go beyond talking point.
Well, I think that, many laws were put into place, helplines were put into place, there was much more awareness. But see, while we need to hold people in India, the system in India responsible, it's not like violence against women isn't common across the globe. I mean, in a developed country like France, look at the Giselle Pellicotte case. I mean, it's one of the most horrifying things I've ever heard of or ever seen. So women are basically unsafe everywhere. In India, perhaps the frequency is greater, but I do believe that per capita, the frequency in India is actually much lower than many other countries. Not that that's something to be proud of. Even a single rape is something to be terribly ashamed of. But I think that when, you talked about vote banks. Now, giving out special schemes for women and special spaces for women, this doesn't require you in a sense to accept and take responsibility for the fact that 50% of your population is being suppressed and is being hurt by the other sex. You see, you have to get it into your mindset and accept that these crimes are actually happening and someone is responsible for these crimes. And we have to change not just the way we think, because that's going to take a long time. We need to do things right now, like starting tomorrow, that are going to prevent such cases from taking place. And I think one of them is that women have to find measures and ways to protect themselves. I think that we have to form local groups and start consistently asking for places to be made safer, whether it's cameras, whether it's more policemen on the street, because we need to be preventative before we can permanently remove the way people think,
Okay.
sort of in this
I have
backward
just
manner.
enough time for Ranjana Kumari. Ranjana Kumari, we are looking at 2025. As women on this panel, all of us can say that this is a good resolution to take. But it requires, partnerships with men in the society who have to be equally interested and if not inclined completely in ensuring safe spaces for women.
I think it's time that each state government should take, immediate action in terms of getting the reports from the police department, which is supposed to be enforcing law and order. Also from the courts, at least some kind of action has to be taken by the state governments. What security arrangements have been made? Who's monitoring them? What kind of a response system they have created? None of our states have specially trained police force which can act immediately in such cases. If something like this happens, none of the states have that. We have been asking for such police force for a long, long time. In fact, Nirbhaya, and I remember, Maria, we all were at India Gate, and I think that was the moment where we thought everybody has woken up. But now it is much more, in fact, I think it's become worse. Because what is happening is that all kinds of politicization of this rape, where women's bodies, when they are raped, then they got a political issue to grind axe against each other. But actually, to go into the details of what state governments are doing, what kind of action has been taken, how these cases have been dealt with, even the justice delivered to the woman. How many women really got justice out of all this? Have we got any kind of information about that? So I think that is very important. Let political party push governments to present report to the House about what is the status of these cases and what is happening to women, and why women are not safe inside the campus, schools,
homes.
Besides homes, of
All
course.
right, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. Ranjana Kumari, Tara Deshpande, Kasturi Shankar and Apsara Reddy. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.